devastating.
Chaos.
Tragic.
Catastrophic.
On August 29, 2005, Hurricane Katrina made landfall with wind speeds up to 175 miles per hour and a width of over 400 miles. Katrina peaked at a Category 5 hurricane and left a death toll at over 1,800. While the storm itself did a great deal of damage, its aftermath was catastrophic. Levee breaches led to massive flooding, and hundreds of thousands of people in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama were displaced from their homes.
From the initial reports was that they were not going to open the Superdome for people that were stranded or if they needed help. Well, apparently a whole bunch of people showed up at the Superdome looking for shelter, and so they opened up the Superdome and we were rerouted to go there. So that was the night before the storm hit. In fact, I remember pulling up to the Superdome and seeing the clouds rolling in. So by the next morning, it was full-on hurricane and pretty scary.
Well, August 29th, part of being with state police, you're multitasked. So I was in the command center here in Baton Rouge, and the storm hit and passed, and we all took a sigh of relief and thought we had missed the brunt of the event, and a call came over the radio that there was a break in a levee, and that changed everything.
At a little after 9 that morning, reports started to come in that at least 3 levees had been breached, and the flood water started to fill up the streets of New Orleans.
Our initial response was, it was devastating. There was, again, you've seen the pictures, and the pictures, told the story. There was water everywhere. Our first response, from a state police standpoint, was, making sure that we could, rescue and save as many lives as possible, and continue to evacuate personnel.
For former New Orleans police officer and NICB agent Phil Clark, his experience of Katrina was unlike any other. Clark spent a week in the Superdome, helping and assisting with public safety.
It was pretty much the vision of insanity. There was no power, no water, no sewer, there was no food for a couple of days. There were a lot more people seeking shelter than there were police. When the storm stopped, I guess, when it finally passed on Monday mid-afternoon, I think is when it finally cleared out completely, there were no floodwaters around the Superdome. So we were actually able to leave the Superdome for a short time. And then they called us and said, look, you need to get back to the Superdome. The water's starting to rise. And in the 20 minutes it took us to get back to the Superdome, there was about 3 feet of water. And by the time we were able to get back in, by nightfall, we were pretty much surrounded by 8 to 10 feet of water. So we were in and of itself in an island inside the Superdome.
In the aftermath of Katrina, the initial reaction by all local and federal agencies was all about search and recovery.
I was tasked to the search and rescue crew, where each morning I'd have to go down to the convention center, and I was assigned about 4 National Guardsmen, and I checked out a HEMT, and we would cruise to each of the locations where we had a list of addresses where the people had called 911. So we would respond to all these addresses and make entry into the house for search and rescue purposes.
Just the devastation that I saw just over the remaining 6 months that I stayed with the police department was rough. Rescuing people out of attics, there's some good, because when you cut open an attic and you pull somebody out that's been in there for a week, and just the look of gratitude on their face was that was why I kind of kept going back on those rescue things. Rescue a lot of people.
However, in the days after Katrina, when the water started to recede, one of the most daunting tasks was about to occur. Coming up tomorrow, we'll take a look at NICB's initial response to the areas affected by Katrina. The National Insurance Crime Bureau worked with law enforcement officials in Louisiana and Mississippi to inspect hundreds of thousands of vehicles damaged by floodwaters.
There were vehicles left all over the city. So that became the first aspect, because the houses aren't going anywhere, but vehicles can.